Good afternoon. This is Ron Brown. It's about 2:20 in the afternoon Central Time. We're closing out a month. It's been a month of getting back losses from the this tariff fiasco, and we really don't know what's going to happen day to day. It's been extremely volatile due to not only news stories but tweets coming from Trump. So we're always kind of on edge. But anyway, it has turned out to be a good bounce back month. Let me put it that way. Today I'm going to talk about most active stocks and some other things. And remember, the market is your teacher. As always, any stock index or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. Before I get into HGSI and those most active screens that I've put together, let's take a look at the market. This is the S&P 500, which is really what most traders and institutions follow. And you can see that this is a monthly chart. I'll maximize it. And this is actually April. You can see that April was a disastrous month. It traded all the way down here and then back up. And then during the month of May, it opened slightly higher, traded down a little bit, and it's been progressing back towards the high. If you look down here at these bar charts, you can see there, the volume charts, you can see that trading volume to the downside was much heavier for for March and April than the buying volume for May. But this is a strong candle, so we'll hopefully continue the upward direction of the market. And I'm going to change this from a monthly to a weekly. And when we look at it from the perspective of a weekly chart, you can see the first week was right here, the first week in May, and then the second week, very strong, gapped up on strong volume. The third week was a pullback, and here we are in the fourth week of the month, and it really hasn't done anything when compared to the this week right here. In fact, we're showing an inside week. We'll just have to wait and see where it goes from here, but there are a lot of potholes along the way, I'm afraid, with the tariff issue. Now, what is good about today, and let me go to a daily chart. This is today. You can see, looking at this candle, where it opened, it traded down to here, and traders have brought it all the way back. We're only 5%, less than 5% from the top of the daily range. And I'm sure this has something to do with traders and funds and so on wanting to close out the week or the month, strongly. Now I'm going to switch to a different view here. These are stocks that I have. There are 12 of them in here. This is actually the mini futures, mini S&P 500 futures. This is Amazon, Tesla, Nvidia, Adobe, Apple, Netflix, Meta, Microsoft. This is a new issue here. It's another cloud stock. It's been all over the place. It opened at $40 and it traded down to like 32, and then it got up to I think close to 120 intraday yesterday, and so I stuck that in there. Google and PLTR. Now I like to watch these large cap stocks because they generally, but not always, turn together. So when the market's beginning to turn, and these are 5-minute charts, I can just look at this, and I have it on a different monitor, and I can get a feel for the broadness of the move just by watching these stocks. As far as the charts go, the way I have them all set up, these are 5-minute charts, and I use the same thing I use in HGSI. I use the 3, 6, and 18-day exponential moving averages, and then this version of volume price analysis, or VPA, that's in here, and it's actually it works pretty well. So here are the E-minis, and this was back at 11:15. You can see these were both below the 18 period exponential moving average, and then the 3 crossed down through the 6, and it went down here, and then you can start seeing some support and some bullish VPA candles here. And then here's where the move up started. The 3 went above the 6, but both of them didn't cross until after this consolidation here, crossed the 18 right here, and you can see what happened. There's been a really nice move since then, and that began right at 1 o'clock. Now we're starting to run into some resistance here, but notice the 3 is still above the 6, and the 18 is clear down here. Now, the earliest warning signs when I'm looking at a 5-minute chart like this would be the 3 crossing down below the 6, but until there's a trend change with the 3 and the 6 going down through the 18, the trend is still up. You can see the expansion here. The green was getting further away from the yellow, and now they're coming together. Okay, so I do this on all of these 5-minute charts, and it just gives me a pretty good feel for the strength and where the market's turning. Let's take a look at, NVIDIA came out with earnings. You can see it's pretty choppy in through here. I'm going to look at something a little bit smoother here. Here's Apple. Let's bring up Apple. And I'll zoom out on it. You can see pre-market here, it was getting hammered. And then start looking at it like this. This was down, and then you can see some bullish. This is a test for supply confirmation, effort to rise, confirmation of that. And then the 3 went above the 6 and above the 18. Now, nothing happened here. It stalled out. These are certainly not perfect signals, but they just give me a perspective on what's happening. This is all chop in here, and then suddenly it broke down here. The 3 went down through the 6 and down through the 18, and that was really the beginning of a strong downtrend. And then you can see this is a test for supply confirmation, test, another test, and it was repairing itself. The 3 went through the 6 and then up through the 18, and it took off. And a nice little run from around 198.35 to 199. So you can make some money on these if you really pay close attention. I want to show you something that they put in here. If you're an option trader, a few months back, they updated this so the option chain just pops up here, and if you're playing options, that's 0 to expiration. This is 7 days. You can put the number of strikes you want in here, and then right here you can just click on the ask if you want a bullish trade. And here's the put. Here's the calls over here. Here's the puts. But it works very quickly. You don't have to go back to the Analyze tab. Okay, I'll restore this and I'll get out of here. Let's go into HGSI. Look at this. The S&P has gone positive for the day now. Came all the way back from the low of 48.3504 to it's now 59.16. So big move up. This is a shakeout after Trump criticized China, and there were some other news story too, but you can see how quickly these indexes move. Okay, let's go into HGSI. I want to briefly cover this. Last week I talked about money flow, intraday money flow, and all of these different screens you can use. Now I'm going to talk a little bit here about most active stocks, and there are several categories here. Most active up, all securities, down, intraday relative strength greater than 90 and range greater than 70, so these would be really strong stocks in here. Then I have the cap breakdown, large cap, mid cap, small cap, both up and down. And then these stocks here have weekly options. Zscaler reported today, I believe, and either today or last night. And look at it here, it gapped up, and it's trading near its high of the day. But so this is most active, MP Materials Corp. Let's see what it's doing. I got to click on it. So this one, this is my contextual chart. You can see that the trends were all down, and now it's emerging after this strength seen returning after a downtrend. Shot up and then profit taking, but today there's an effort to rise. Okay, let's move on here. I just want to show you the different categories. Here's up and down options stocks with actively traded options down. Most active up, NASDAQ 100. You can see Zscaler and Costco are on top here. PLTR, they are getting an expansion of a government contract to compile data on us, I guess, so they can spy on us. I don't know. Okay, up and down. Most active up S&P 500. So you can see you can pretty much isolate depending on what you want to look at. Here's the 1500. You can see they're 81 up and 66 down. So more strength to the upside on the most active. Here's the Dow Jones. S&P 400, 600. Most active up, strong earnings growth. These are stocks that have good projected earnings or earnings, not only projected, but you can see these are negative, but they're going in a positive direction. Here's an old stock in Phase Energy, which has been beaten down. You can see it's under accumulation now. The last 2 quarters have been exceptional here. These have strong earnings growth, but they're down today. Largest 4% movers and up. Look at if you look at this column right here, everything is above 4% on the day. Same thing for the downside. High relative volume intraday. Let me sort on raw combo here. So these are almost active. I stuck these in here based upon percentages and relative volume. And most active up, IPOs up and down. Now here is one stock I want to point out, CoreWeave. It's a cloud stock. You can see what has happened with this. They just reported earnings the other day, but this came out. This is the one that came out around $40. It dipped down here when the market was selling off at, let's see, the low got down to around, 38.64, and then it started moving up, and look what's happened to it recently. The 3 crossed the 6 back here, and it didn't go back down, and this has made a huge move in just a matter of days or a month. Yesterday it got hit hard. Down the prior day, hit hard. Yesterday it got up and around the 132 mark and then traded clear down, closed down around, well, where did it close? Around 105. So anybody who bought up here was shaken out yesterday. But these are just in here to help us find the most active up and down stocks. Okay, well, that's all I wanted to show you on that. Let's take a final look at the market. I had to pause this video, and there's only about 9 minutes left in the trading day now. You can see the S&P 500 is holding positive. Let's see where the this is the stock that I just talked about, CRVW, up at 555 today. Let's scroll down here and let's see. Here's what I'm looking for right here. The comp. No volume on the comp, but we can see how it's trading. It looks like it's backed off of its high for the day going into the close. It's down 75. Whereas the S&P, well, it turned negative. But if you really want to get an idea of what's happening with the S&P, go back to HGS Investor and go down to locate the intraday relative strength. Click on the RS, the S&P sectors, and you can see what the sector breakdown within the S&P 500 is doing. Now here's the spider itself. Let me do an update on this. Right now it says it's up 1 cent or 0.01%, but you can see where the strength was in the S&P 500. It's in the utilities and communications. So I'm going to drop down here to the XLU, and I can see immediately where the strength was within this sector. So all of these scans go directly to the sector stocks. I'm going to cut it off here. I just wanted to give you a quick review of the most active, and also take a look at the stocks in TOS, what I look at, to get a feel for what's going on in the market. Have a good weekend, and I'll be back with another video next weekend, more than likely.